Hello, I'm Anthony David Hobbs, and this is my review of Blackadder's Christmas Carol. I don't have any visual aid from the Christmas special itself, but I am wearing a Christmas jumper. Yeah, it says Happy Sifmas on it. Sif, as in the Sif from the Star Wars films. So it's a Star Wars themed jumper, yeah. Anyway, I thought this jumper is appropriate because I'm doing something Christmas themed. Anyway, I first saw Blackadder's Christmas Carol when I was, I think I was 8 years old, yeah, but I didn't know the story, the original story by Charles Dickens. And that's silly because you're supposed to see the proper version first, then see the spoof. Well, it wasn't that well planned out. I did enjoy it, in spite of the fact that I didn't know the story, I didn't know the names of the characters. I certainly didn't know Ebenezer Scrooge, he's just always known as Scrooge, yeah, in the other versions. There is this, however. I loved reading the Dandy comic when I was 8 years old. And yes, there is a Christmas Carol, their version of that, with characters from the comic playing the various characters. So I got the gist of it. So spoiler alert. The original story of Ebenezer Scrooge, it's about a rich miser who's very mean and grotty. He's invited to parties but never goes to them, and he never donates money to charity. He's stingy, he's horrible and mean, a skinflint, yeah. And that's why if someone doesn't like Christmas, they're called a Scrooge, yeah. And he's a debt collector, yes. His only interest is money, yeah. He doesn't care about people. So it's about a bad man visited by some ghosts, and then he turns good. Now, I do love the story of A Christmas Carol, and there's so many versions of it, I've lost count. But sometimes it does get a little repetitive. Okay, it's interesting seeing different actors play the parts, but yes, it's the same story over and over again. This version is unlike anything that had been done before, so spoiler alert. It's about a good man that turns bad. Oh, very different. It turns it on its head, and it's a spoof. It's a comedy. And, in the opening sequence, we have the one Ebenezer Blackadder, the kindest and loveliest man in all England. And he lives in Dumpling Lane, a pun on Pudding Lane. This is very different to any version of Blackadder we've seen before. It's set in the 19th century, and Blackadder is a generally honest, decent man, never breaks any laws at all. Now, the other incarnations of Blackadder, played by the same actor before, Blackadder's not evil per se. No, he's just he does use lies and deceit to get out of a tricky situation. Yeah, and not totally evil, just a bit mischievous. Yeah, a bit of a cheeky chappy. Yeah, but this version's very different. He's a totally honest man, and he gives lots and lots of money away to charity. Yeah, and we do have flashback sequences to Blackadder 2, Blackadder the Third. It's all new footage. No, it's not a clip show. No, because they had to do new footage because none of the other previous stuff has been Christmas themed. Yeah, we do not have a flashback to the first season called The Blackadder, so there's no connection. Well, if they had done that, it would have been a bit too much squeezed into one thing. Yeah, there is, however, a connection with the first Blackadder series. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, they're played by the same actors that were in one episode of The Blackadder, the first season. So there's a connection there, yeah. Anyway, as I said, afterwards, years later, I did see the original text, and I'd seen a cartoon of it. So I'd seen other versions of it. And then I saw Blackadder's Christmas Carol again and understood the jokes a lot better. Well, one good example is humbug. Humbug means something that is nonsense or something that you disapprove of, yeah. And yes, bah humbug, perhaps one of Scrooge's most famous phrases. It also means a kind of sweetie, little bits of candy are called humbugs. Now, they went out of fashion when I was about 8 years old, and so I only just caught the end of an era, so I knew what they were. Humbugs were very popular when my dad was a little kid, yeah. Anyway, so in the opening sequence, we hear Ebenezer Blackadder saying, "Humbug, humbug. Humbug, Mr. Baldrick," and gives him a sweetie, yeah, like that. So yes, that makes that look silly, yeah. And Baldrick has wrote a very messy Christmas. He cannot spell Christmas properly. Hasn't got any of the letters right at all. But that's not because he's stupid. No, that's because he's ignorant. Because most people couldn't read in the 19th century. No, because they all did hard manual labour things. They didn't need to read. Only the rich and privileged could read. And another bit when they had £17 and a penny to spend on larks and fun, Christmas holiday and all that. And then Baldrick says, "So we had £17 and a penny, and we gave Mrs. Scratchit £17, so that leaves..." "Yes, come on, Mr. Baldrick, £17 and a penny minus £17 leaves..." £38 for 9 shillings and fourpence. So he's got it completely wrong. But again, that's because he's ignorant. They didn't teach the average Joe basic arithmetic, yeah. So yes, it's a joke that's also making a satirical point as well. Now, Blackadder, or more specifically, Ebenezer Blackadder, this version, he does give a lot of money to the charity, but some of the people, a lot of the people he gives the money to, are not actually all that poor. Like, for instance, Mrs. Scratchit, a pun on Mrs. Cratchit, she has a son called Tiny Tom, a pun on Tiny Tim, who's enormously fat. Now, in those days, only very rich people could afford to be fat, yeah, because most people barely had enough money to eat at all, yeah. And she sells him a matchbox for £17. That's extortion. That's much too much money. But because of Blackadder's good nature, she takes advantage of that. Then we have the Beadle, who leads the orphans. Orphans that are incredibly fat. Again, they can't be that hard done by if they're really fat, yeah. They don't take money off Blackadder, just a big bowl full of nuts, walnuts, for Christmas, yeah. Blackadder has a goddaughter that's incredibly rich, and she takes her present and steals Blackadder and Baldrick's presents and takes the Christmas tree while she's at it. Just take. Horrible lady, yeah. So, yes, this raises the debate. Is it a good idea giving money to charity? It's not very good, is it? I think the simple answer is it is good to give money to the poor if they're thankful, yes. And if they are really genuinely poor, yeah, they can't be that hard done by if they take that amount of money. He gives a penny for Christmas cheer to a little boy, and he doesn't spend it on food or essential stuff for his family. No, he spends it on alcohol to get drunk. That's terrible. But Blackadder sees the good in all of them, so he's very forgiving. Seeing the good in people, sometimes that's a good characteristic, but don't let people take you for a mug and take advantage of you, yeah. In fact, they don't have any money. They've only got a turkey left. That's it. Does it pay to be a good person and give away to charity? And Baldrick says, well, Christmas is the time of miracles. So if we pray, the pink pinksy in the sky will reward us for all our good deeds. And then two people come in. It's people disguised as regular people. And they say, we have come to reward the virtuous this Christmas Eve. And we have heard many stories of your kindness and generosity. So please, give us £10 for the virtuous old lady next door. Oh, no, they haven't come to reward them at all. That's awful, yeah. And Blackadder is very honest and says, we haven't got any money, we've just got a turkey. Oh, that sounds ideal. So he gives them the turkey, yeah. And then he says, Baldrick, it looks like we're in for a bit of a thin Christmas. I mean, Blackadder, he owns a moustache shop. I thought they sold moustaches. No, they don't, no. What they do is they groom moustaches, make them twirly, and sent them as well. Yes, that was a thing at the time. You could make money doing that. I'm sure he'll make money in a few days after Christmas is over, but he's going to have no money and no food on Christmas Day. That's really bad, isn't it? It's like hitting rock bottom, yeah. And then, spoiler alert, the spirit of Christmas, just the one ghost represents all of Christmas, the different time periods. He's come to show Blackadder visions to make him stay good. But instead, the visions are what make him turn bad. Oh, dear me. Well, the spirit of Christmas hasn't done a very good job, has he? Yeah. He shows in the images of Blackadder 2 at Christmas time. And the Queen has banned the Christmas, yeah. And Blackadder takes advantage of this and he wants to use it to humiliate Lord Melchett, yeah. And instead of being disgusted and appalled, the Victorian Blackadder thinks, wow, that's cool, that's amazing, yeah. And something else. I thought this was a joke and then found out it wasn't. When Melchett gives the Queen a brand new crown with jewels on it, yeah, she goes, I'm going to reward you. I'm going to give you a castle, a new title, and anything else. And Melchett says, well, a nice saucy wife would be fun. He goes, Lady Jane Pottle. Oh, yummy. I think she's Blackadder's girl at the moment, but that's okay, isn't it, Blackadder? Oh, yeah, that's fine, yeah. But in reality, Queen Elizabeth I did do that. If a lord did something that earned her favour, she'd literally give her a wife, like giving someone a present. And if the woman objected, well, she'd go to prison then, yeah. So Queen Elizabeth I didn't care about her fellow woman, did she? Didn't give equal rights to women, no. Just treated women like possessions like that. Not the nicest person. She may have been good at commanding armies and defending the nation. Elizabeth I was not a very nice person socially, no. Then we have another flashback to Blackadder III. Blackadder III was my favourite when I was 8 years old, so I was very pleased to see this segment. And, they play charades, or try to play charades. The Prince George is a moron. He can't play it properly. And then he asked Blackadder to give him a story, anything you like, as long as it's Christmas themed, yes. But not so long as Jesus isn't in it. No, keep him out of it, yeah. He always ruins the Xmas atmos. So Prince is a moron for saying you can't, Jesus, it doesn't do justice, that shouldn't have anything to do with Christmas. Yeah, he's a moron for saying that. Or is he? Because centuries before Jesus was born, they had the winter solstice, the hope that one day the winter will end. So that has nothing to do with Jesus because he hasn't been born yet. So without realising it, the prince had actually said something intelligent, yeah. And then centuries later, the winter solstice, birth of Jesus, they put those two ideas together to make it popular in Europe. And then, obviously, Blackadder is amazed by this, and he says to the spirit of Christmas, so the George and Blackadder, he got the presents, yeah, by stealing a load of silver of this woman collecting for charity. Yeah, so there is financial gain. There is something to be gained out of being bad. And the spirit of Christmas says, well, technically, yes, but that's not the point. It's the soul, you know. You shouldn't give in to the temptation. You should be good no matter what. And then another vision, Blackadder sees, what we've never seen before, a vision of the future. So we see a futuristic space adventure of Blackadder. And then basically he shows that if Blackadder turns bad, his descendants will rule the entire universe. Then another vision, if Blackadder stays good, he will be a slave to a space conqueror instead. Oh, that's awful, a terrible life then, yeah. Not a very good motive for staying good, isn't it? Yeah. And then the spirit of Christmas tries one last time and he says, well, you don't get financial gain by being good, but the rewards of being good are spiritual, but all the better for it. Yeah, if you're a good person, you won't want a really big reward. You'll be happy with simple pleasures and small rewards, yeah. And Blackadder lies and says, oh, well, that makes all the difference, doesn't it? Yeah. The spirit leaves. Blackadder is a changed man. He punches Baldric for no justifiable reason. He won't let the orphans in, even though they're freezing cold. He tells them to get lost. And then Mrs. Scratcher comes around and he steals the £17 he gave her off like that and tells Baldric to go and buy, well, the biggest turkey you can possibly see. And then he steals money off his goddaughter Millicent. Oh, no, he doesn't. He steals money off her fiancé and says, congratulations, good day. It's a nice way of saying get lost, yeah. And then there's another knock at the door and he says, Baldric, whoever that is, slam the door in their faces, yeah. And it's the real Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. And they come round for a visit to reward him. But of course, Blackadder, I guess he half recognises them from the previous day. He thinks they're imposters, you know, doing very unconvincing accents and everything. He thinks you're not the real ones at all. You look like the shortest, dumpiest woman. Now get lost. You know, how you can have 9 kids is unbelievable, yeah. And he insults them as if they were the real. He doesn't approve of the Queen or Prince Albert, but he thinks they're imposters, yeah. Well, in those days, yes, you could go to prison for insulting a monarch, but because of all his good deeds before, they decide to leave him alone and not give him the reward. Baldric has a huge turkey. Baldric doesn't have a huge turkey. You know, Blackadder has a huge turkey. But Blackadder does give him a wishbone and says, what do you wish? I wish there was some meat on this. Yeah. And he says, I'm having a party. Nobody's invited but me. And yes, he's driven all those people away. Yes. Oh, he's got a big turkey and £17, but, you know, he's driven all these people away. At what cost? Yeah. And then afterwards, Baldric assures him it was the real Queen and Prince Albert. Well, what would they be doing here? Well, the Queen had come to reward you for being the nicest man in England by giving you £50,000 and the title of Baron Blackadder. Baldric, it couldn't have been the Queen, because when she visits people, she gives them her royal seal. What, like this one? Yes, just like that. And then a very awkward silence. He realises what's happened. Because he was so rude to them, they won't give him the money now, yes. And the irony when he said, there's no financial gain by being good. Well, in this case, there is. Yes, he's just turned down the chance of a lifetime. £50,000, if you take inflation into account, that's like about £8 million. Yeah, be rich for the rest of your life, yeah. So yes, there are benefits to being bad and benefits to being good. It's just a question of character. Are you a good person? Nothing wrong with gaining money, but it's how you gain the money, yes. If you gain it in a good way, then yes, that's a good thing. And although it's a spoof and lots of silly gags, in a way it does raise a lot of interesting issues and I think does do justice to the original book by Charles Dickens. And it made me curious to want to read the original book. Okay, thank you for watching. Merry Christmas. I'm Anthony Hobbs and I'm never bored.